Matt is the drummer from Ash and The Arsonists, and he's on the phone for Mandatory Manitoba today. How's it going, Matt?
Yes, you are rocking with Mr. Bombastic, Beatastic, Matt there from Ash and The Arsonists, and Twang Bomb. I got another band right there, but today we're going to be talking about The Arsonists exclusively. I am doing just great, and I am very excited to be a part of this, and I thank you and everybody over there on behalf of myself and everyone else, sir.
I couldn't tell that you were excited.
Oh, no, not at all.
They in the email they called you the outspoken one, and I'm starting to see why they might have said that. Do you feel that's accurate, that you're the outspoken one of Ash and the Arsonists?
Well, I'm definitely a character, not to brag, but I mean, it should have been happening. Ash is the namesake. He should have been speaking with you, but maybe we'll do another interview, get another song on there, and we'll have him speak this time. But I'll push him to do it. I'm definitely okay speaking on the phone and just shoving my mug into whatever space I can. You know what I mean?
Why do you think Ash backed off from this one?
I don't know. He's the front man, but he's a little reserved. Just generally isn't that big on interaction or just speaking to people. I don't know. We'll get him. We'll get him up to speed at some point.
You said you played for another band as well, and you're kind of new to Ash and the Arsonists, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that you have a little bit of experience with frontmen. I feel like it would be rare that somebody who maybe doesn't seek the spotlight as much ends up in that role in this band.
Well, there's you get like the frontman caricature, but there's different kinds of frontmen that are out there. I've definitely dealt with, in my other band, my other guy, Chase, he's definitely a more outgoing, just assertive personality. And that's actually, I was Twang Bomb first. I joined them in 2017, excuse me, I'm just sort of stepping over myself.
That's okay, take your time.
I joined them in 2017, and that is around the same time that I met Ash, and formerly over at Cowboys, this little acoustic, we did our first gig with them. And 2 years later, when Twang Bomb was just kind of on hiatus, Ash reached out to me because he wanted to do some cover band thing, which we also do. It's called Boisterous. It's the same lineup, just with a different basis for those little cover things. But I eventually joined the Arsonists as well, so I'm technically in two bands with him. So, that's just how it goes, and we can negotiate. I heard Chase was talking about, getting Twang Bomb potentially on the thing that we got going down here, the Mandatory Manitoba. We can discuss that later, though.
Oh, hey, man. Well, the more the merrier. We got all sorts of Mondays to fill up, so we may as well.
All righty.
What was it like? I guess Ash asks you to play. I feel like drummers, they feel kind of like hired guns sometimes in bands, that they come, they go, they replace other people. When you kind of first make your tentative steps into playing with another group of people, what are you looking for? What jumps out to you right away to let you know that this is something that might be successful or not?
Well, I think, not to brag, I think I really have a good ear or eye or whatever sense I'm using for what's going to work and what doesn't. I just have a very attuned sense that I've accrued over the years. It just comes naturally. And I think it's just a little magic or something that you just know when it's there. It's not really something that you can describe in words particularly, but it's just the chemistry personally between all the band members, and the chemistry musically that's there, the skill level, if it's the same, if you're just going and it really gels, then you know that this could take off somewhere. You got to have everyone at the same level. You cannot have any weak links in the band. And if you got one, either replace them or build them up. That's the most I can say.
Art seems to be one of the only things where, you can't really define why you like a song. You might have some, I like the tempo, or it's, sonically pleasing or whatever, but you can't say what makes one song popular or what song resonate with someone and one song, it doesn't really have that much of an impact. So it's not really surprising, I suppose, that it's kind of an undefinable, intangible sort of thing that lets you realize, yes, this is working, or no, this is not working. Have you always felt when you've been a part of this that it's working?
Working in what way? What you mean?
Like, just for you personally, because you got to make a decision too, man, on if you want to play in a band or not. Like, you have agency as well. If you have more than one band interested in you, and I've seen your work, you're obviously a very competent and skilled drummer. So, you have a say in whether or not you're a part of it too, right?
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I'm glad that you have taken a look at my stuff, and I'm glad that you appreciate it. I mean, you can, and just to plug myself right quick, anyone who's listening, you can check my stuff out. I post regularly on Instagram, all kinds of drum content, review articles on my site, mattderra.com, and on my Instagram, which is mattderra, DERRAUGH. But anyway, enough of the bragging. Back to the plug, or back to whatever I'm saying. So with whatever situation that I'm in, I mean, I've experienced this. I mean, I would have done this admittedly before, but you know, I've definitely tamed that instinct to myself, and I've dealt with this a couple of times where some people in band situations, they're going to try to make more of the controlling decision and override the others. I make sure that everyone, including myself, including everyone else, has a say in it, and I just make sure, just based on my natural instinct, like if everything's going down, I make sure that I step up and say whatever I need to say and do whatever I need to do. And if it's working, it's working. If it ain't, it ain't.
Yeah. No, that's a good philosophy, man. There's a lot of people who, you know, would let themselves be pushed over or overrun, especially being someone who's a little bit newer to the band. But the fact that you feel confident enough to stand up for the things that you think, yeah, that's nice to have that situation for sure. Hey, let's talk about. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just because, you know, a lot of people don't really have that sort of abundant mentality. You got to realize, just because one band doesn't work out, there's going to be another band that comes along. There's so many bands out there. You can see by the number of bands that are on here, on Mandatory Manitoba that you feature, the number of bands you've seen on 92, the number of bands you see in the Village Idiots. I mean, you can just look around. This scene is massive, even for a city of only like 700,000. So you got to look at it as, okay, this doesn't work, but there's so many other bands out there, and guaranteed there's going to be somebody who fits even better if I stick to it. You can't just look at that as the one and only gig, and that's just it.
Yeah, I think you can probably translate that to real life too, like dating or jobs or anything like that.
Sure, yeah.
Hey, so you joined the band near the end of 2019. It's always interesting because I'm talking to bands and they talk about bringing new people in, but I almost never talk to kind of the newer members of the band. So what is the dynamic of being the new guy after you've been there for a while? I mean, obviously they trust you enough to, you know, do an interview and speak on behalf of the band. So, I mean, it's got to be, there's got to be some trust involved in reciprocally in both you and them and you.
Well, I mean, like I said, I've known Ash for 2 years prior to, you know, joining the Arsonists and also joining Boisterous. So he has a good idea of what I'm about, where I come from, and all this stuff. And even beyond just like the music tip, I've been getting Ash more into like the business side. I mean, there's this one book in particular, if anyone wants to check it out and read it. I didn't write it. I'm not plugging myself again. It's called How to Make It in the New Music Business by Ari Herstand. If you're a new band out there, you're a new artist, you're trying to make it out here independently, that thing is gold and you need to go get it. But back to the point, so like I'm getting more into the business things. We're getting into more detailed discussions about all kinds of stuff. And he's very enthusiastic about whatever we're doing whenever I talk to him. So, you know, it's just, I haven't been the new guy for quite a while. I mean, when I was, because you had, it was like his cousin, a few of his relatives before, and Taylor, you know, his girlfriend / backup vocalist or occasional front vocalist, you know. But like I said, it's always a little uncomfortable at first. You got to gel in, even if you do know these people. But, you know, you get used to it after a while. You just got to soak it in. Even with Twang Bomb, I never knew these guys from a hole in the wall. I found it on Musicians Tinder, Kijiji. That's how I met these guys. But after a while, we found that we had, like, some of the best chemistry in the world. And that led to me being in Ash And The Arsonists. But the solution, ultimately, that I found to quashing the feelings of discomfort and whatever kind of negative feelings that I had being the new guy, Ash And The Arsonists, was one time, and two, bringing in another twang bomber, Matt Curry, who is now on the bass over here, and he's gelling in quite well too. And I think things are really taking off now that we have the right lineup.
I did a kind of a reverse scroll through some of the social media just to see the progression and how things would have been posted in real time. And you were talking about kind of adding new things and new ideas and all of that sort of stuff. You can really see that there's kind of an evolution in this band as well. And I'm talking like, you know, some of the live video stuff that you guys have posted has become more sophisticated. You can tell that you guys are investing in gear beyond musical gear. Like you've got a video editor, and you've got some graphics that you're adding to some of the stuff, and there's like some GoPros and some extra cameras that you guys are bringing in. Is that sort of what you're talking about when you're talking about the how to make it in the new music business aspect that you were talking about?
Well, I mean, that's not really detailed in the book. That's just common sense. Like you gotta be as professional and present yourself as professionally as possible, which, I suppose is a concept in the book, but it doesn't say anything about extra cameras or any of this stuff. I would have liked to say on that note, shout out to Mike McComb for all the fabulous photography and everything so far, and in the video work. And like I said also earlier, I do a lot of drum content on my social media, and I've inspired Ash and a number of others that I know in the music scene to actually do the same. It's just, I try to get something out like every day, and Ash is, trying to keep up with me.
Yeah.
As much as I do, but he's got guitar content that he posts up. He's figuring out the video editing and all this stuff. And like I said, enthusiasm. It's a journey. It ain't a marathon, or it's a marathon, not like, what's the metaphor? Whatever you get.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah, I got you, man.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
There.
So speaking of your social media, one of the last things that you guys have up there as far as your ability to play live was a couple shows, or were a couple shows at the park.
Yeah.
When we get to the other side of this, how important is it, do you feel, for the community as a whole that places like the park come back as strong as they possibly can?
Crucial. It's crucial for every single venue that can be saved to be saved. I mean, we already lost a couple. We lost the Garrick. I saw that. I mean, we did lose the Windsor, but that was due more to some criminal allegations or whatnot we need not get into. But, I mean, definitely save as many as you can, because it's, there's a lot of bands out here, but it's still a very tight, small-knit community, or small, tight-knit community. And we need everything that we can get. I mean, there's Manitoba music and all this stuff. There's a lot of people who play music and don't play music that are very enthusiastic, who are very dedicated and passionate, that I can rely on, that I will absolutely ensure will come through to make sure that we have somewhere to play. We have many places to play, and it won't go away, and that includes myself.
It's kind of a symbiotic relationship. You need them to be able to play as much as they need you to be able to bring, obviously, people in to see you play. So what can bands do to help some of these venues out when we get to the other side of this? Well, just encourage people to go to the shows. And like what we were doing with these park shows was having actual fundraisers. It was like fundraising events with these other bands that we were on the ticket with, to keep the park afloat, basically. Just pay their bills so they could stay up. Do stuff like that, man. Like whatever you can do, even have like live stream concerts from your house, like Post Malone did with that Nirvana stuff. Yeah. Even though that was for like the World Health Organization, you can do something for local venues even. I mean, the possibilities are limitless. What have you guys... I guess, first question, what did you have to set aside when everything kind of shut down? Did you have anything planned? I saw that there were a couple festivals that you might have been a part of this summer if everything had gone through. I don't remember anything about festivals, but I do believe you if you talk to Ash, which you did. But the thing is, I mean, the number one thing that we had to put aside for a while was actual jamming. But we just got back recently now that Code Red is off. You can have 2 people in the house, and there's 4 people in the band, and Ash and Taylor live together, so... it just works out perfectly, so we were able to get that back together. The thing is, we were trying to actually... But here's the thing. So we had Boisterous, the cover band, and that was still going on with Nathan Keeler, our bassist over there. And we were doing a few shows. We played at some hotel bars. I think it was at the Knob in St. Norbert, Merch in Selkirk. I think there might have been like one other place somewhere. But we were using the funds that we generated from those cover gigs to eventually pay for an Ash and the Arsonists full record, which is going to come before ideally 2022. It'll come some point this year. We'll just see how things go with all this stuff. But yeah, basically, I mean, that was another thing that we had to put aside, was any sort of studio opportunity. I mean, obviously because of trying to find a studio space, but also because we couldn't gig anywhere. So how the hell are you going to generate the money? So everything was just sort of thrown for a loop. But
even though I'm not really making any money doing anything right now, well, a couple of things, but not musical. I adapted and got cracking on the social media stuff back in like last spring. And as I said, I inspired Ash and some others to do the same. So we're just doing what we're doing, generating the publicity, doing everything that we can, just learning this as we go and figuring how to do this the right way. But yeah, we'll get back to it. I know that much for sure, but it has been kind of a snag.
Let's talk about the album real quick. I'm not sure how far along you are in it, but what can you share about the progress of it so far?
I mean, we have songs for sure. I mean, we had 6 for sure. But if you go look on YouTube, well, actually, no, the whole thing isn't on YouTube, but my first gig with Ash and the Arsonists, beyond the one that I did in 2017, just playing a little bongo drum or Congo drum, whatever it was, a djembe, technically. I'm looking at it right now in the basement. But the first gig that we played was at this Manitoba Music New Artist Showcase over at the Goodwill Social Club, another place that needs to be rescued. And we had 6 songs that we did, and 6 songs formally that we had down that Ash had written long ago. Like, these were established tunes. And since then, I've come over, and Ash and I, and of course, Matt and Taylor have been just working and putting these things together and just really generating as much product as we can. We need 4 more, and I think we have 4 more at the moment. We definitely got some tunes that we could use, and we intend to use all those on a record. But so far, all that we've been able to record in any sort of adequate condition is the song that you're about to hear right now. Or if this is on the other end of this this thing that we got going on, which you just heard.
Yeah, I got you. We will be about to play it. So
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, enjoy.
That's awesome. So you hope to have that out by 2022. Do you have a producer in mind? Do you guys kind of take care of that on your own?
Well, we had a producer for this track, largely is a guy named Jake Satcher. Shout out to him that Ash was able to find, because we were looking for some affordable mixing master producers, et cetera, right now, and that was the main guy that we worked with. So maybe oh yeah, and there's another guy, Stephen Rumpley, that we might be doing some things with, but who the hell knows? We just got things up in the air.
Yeah, it's an uncertain time, but I think it's important to have general goals, and then you just kind of get the skeleton of it and fill everything in a little bit more as circumstances dictate. So I'm happy to hear that you guys have a little light at the end of the tunnel. So hey man, we'll wrap it up there. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the other side of this, and best of luck to you guys.
Yes, absolutely. Look us up, Ash the Arsonist. Look up me at Matt Derra, Matt Derraugh on Instagram, and of course everywhere else, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And look up Twang Bomb and Ash the Arsonist. Like I said, if you go look at my bio, you'll see it's right there. So, and check out my articles. Okay, I'm done plugging. Thanks.
All right, Matt. Have a good weekend, buddy.